This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN.Network. And joining me right now is Geoff Morphy. He is the president of Bitfarms Ltd. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is BITF on both NASDAQ and the TSX Venture. And you can actually see Geoff give an investor presentation at the upcoming SNN.Network summer virtual event happening August 17 through 19. To register and see his presentation, please go to conference.snn.network. With that, Geoff, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Thank you, Robert. I'm doing great. It's going to be an exciting week. We're off to a good start.
That's for sure. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And this is actually our first time doing an interview together. So can we please start off with a quick overview and history of the company?
Sure. Bitfarms had a start about 5 years ago. So we're one of the longer-lived mining companies. We actually started in our garage in Buenos Aires with our two founders who are resident in Buenos Aires, who started playing with cryptocurrencies and mined Bitcoin and Ethereum and a couple of other coins. And they realized the potential of this and put together a family and friends type of round, bought some more machines, and then started scouting the world for their opportunities. They met a couple of other entrepreneurs with the same type of vision and initially set up in the province of Quebec in Canada. And that's where the real genesis of our operations are. We have grown to 5 operations in Quebec, which is a great location because it's all powered by hydroelectric power, so renewables. And that's an important thing with the ESG movement moving forward, is that we are already very experienced with hydroelectricity and with our 5 mining operations in that province. We are one of the largest Bitcoin mining companies in the world. We're publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies in the world. We have mined, I think, more Bitcoin this year to date than any of our public North American peers. So we have considerable experience and at scale compared to some of our competitors. And our growth plans are ambitious and unfolding right now. And we plan to grow from the end of last year to the end of this year by a factor of 3, and from the end of last year to the end of next year by a factor of 8. So we have 69 megawatts that we're drawing down in the province of Quebec. That translates into a little bit over 1.4 exahash at the moment. We hope to get to about 2.5 exahash later this year. Somewhere early next year, about 3 exahash, and then 8 exahash by the end of next year. So we've got our work cut out for us, but we've got a great team, and all of that's well underway.
Very good. So what would you say makes Bitfarms unique and different compared to your peers? As you just said, that you've already mined more Bitcoin than any of your competition thus far. You know, what gives you that competitive advantage?
Well, it's because we got started earlier and because we're a self-miner, and that's one of the differences that a number of the other mining firms have in the past anyway, and I think it's still being done, bought the miners and moved it into separate third-party hosting arrangements, where we've been a self-miner. We've built the infrastructure ourselves, buy the miners, put it into our infrastructure. So we're able to really, from soup to nuts, be able to manage all of our operations. It also means better margins because we're not having to give it away to a third party who needs to make money at this as well. And like that's brought a number of advantages because we've also are able to do vertical integration and bring in the dedicated people that know and learn how to do this on a daily basis. So like each of our farms that we put together, when we find a way of doing something better, when we deploy it in our next farm, either through a renovation or a new development, we bring sort of that idea into the next farm, and then we continue to evolve our best practices forward. It's a constantly evolving process, and I think that's pretty important. And the other part of it is that we're allowed to do vertical integration, because not just are we self-mining, but we also have a wholly owned electrical services subsidiary called Volta. There's about 40 to 50 people that work for Volta, which gives us, and 34, I think, of those people are electricians and some master electricians, so that when we need to build a site or service a site, we have, like, within our own ranks, our own electricians. So we're not having to go out there and find people to sort of come sort of next week to help us out. We've got experienced people right there to do it. And we have our own repair labs so that when miners go down, and they do, we're able to service those miners on site and put them back into service as quickly as possible. And I think other people that don't have the same scale, like they're either sitting in the US or China, and there's probably multiple weeks or possibly multiple months turnaround time, and these miners aren't cheap. So you need to have them in motion to really get your ROA on them.
Absolutely. So, for those, there might be some people watching this that are probably thinking, okay, there's, a number of publicly traded Bitcoin mining and just crypto mining companies out there, but and me as well, I'm curious about the business model. How does the company make money? I mean, obviously you're investing now, banking on, the assets growing in value over time, of course, but in the interim, before you then liquidate maybe a portion or some of that position, how does the company make money?
Well, we're doing it in two ways. There's really two strategies here. The first is that like our cost of mining a Bitcoin, and we just announced this yesterday in our earnings call, is about $9,000 US per Bitcoin. And as you know, right now, Bitcoin is 45,000 US. So there's a heck of a margin in that. And as we announced yesterday, our margin last quarter, and very similar to the quarter before that, our adjusted EBITDA margin was 65%. There's not many companies out there that can generate a 65% EBITDA margin on what they do. So I think that's the first one, is that we've got a business with great margin attached to it. Like, it's not like other businesses. Like we collect like our Bitcoin every day, sort of every hour, like we're into a pool, but like we don't have receivables. It's instantaneous. So our working capital is really quite minimal. So it's a very efficient business that way. And then second, earlier this year, we started what we call a Bitcoin retention program. So I think for us who are long-term Bitcoin bulls, and I think a lot of our investors are similar in that they're long-term and they think Bitcoin is going to go up in value, we started putting pretty much every Bitcoin that we mine, we add to our balance sheet. So far, year to date, it's been about 96% of the Bitcoin that we've mined, we still have on our balance sheet year to date. So we have over 1,800 on our balance sheet. So if you believe in Bitcoin long-term, we're like a very efficient ETF, because investing in us gets you exposure to the Bitcoin prices and valuation increases. And we have such a low base of, we don't have to go out and buy Bitcoin at 45,000 like ETFs. Like we're doing it at 9,000. So we're like a ETF on steroids right now, because we give you margin for the mining, but we also take that margin and then throw it right back into the balance sheet and embed it for future growth. So there's really two ways of really being able to take advantage of what our company does.
Very good. And then Geoff, what's your background? I mean, how'd you come into all this?
I actually started out as a commercial banker and cross-border and structuring and arranging a lot of rather interesting deals, project finance. So I've been in the debt finance and capital market space for a long time. I then migrated some 15 years ago into advisory and started advising mid-sized companies throughout North America on how to grow plans, on turnarounds and things like that. And then I went to a publicly traded company in 2016 and helped with their non-mining portfolio, and that's resource-based non-mining, with companies around the world, helping them realize value. And then over a year ago, I was asked to join the board of Bitfarms, and I joined and was contributing on the board. And there was some personnel changes, and I was asked to jump into the executive ranks. So last August, I moved from the board to the executive ranks and started working with the founders and growing the management team. And we've got a great team that's really cohesive. And as I like to say, they're a bunch of doers. And if you want a company that's going to grow, you need doers. So there's always an 80-20 rule, even the 90-10 rule, where 10% of the people do 90% of the work. And we're surrounded with a great team of doers, and we enjoy what we do every day, and we're excited about what we can do for everybody in the future.
Very good. All right. So to close this out here today, before I let you go, from what you can tell us, what would you say are some of the company's value catalysts now for the rest of 2021 going into 2022?
Well, I think I've already highlighted some of them. So, like we've got recently, June 21st, we got listed on the NASDAQ. So we're on the NASDAQ now. So that's really opened up the world to us. So we have access to capital. We already are fully taking advantage of hydroelectricity in our portfolio. We've got an expansion plan in Argentina, where our cost of power down there is 2.2 cents per kilowatt hour. Our cost of hydro already in Quebec is 4 cents US per kilowatt hour. So our average costs of mining Bitcoin in the future should reduce nicely. Strong EBITDA. We are building our Bitcoin as fast as many others in the world, if not faster. And we've got the vertical integration, and we're going to add this hash rate. I think we're going to do it very efficiently. So we've got a lot of compelling reasons why we're building a solid foundation for really sound future growth, and that's what we're executing on.
All right, Geoff, with that, where can our audience go and find more information on Bitfarms?
Well, that's easy. Just go to our website. We've got a lot of good information there on management, on our operations, and what we're doing. I recommend people download the investor presentation, but it's at bitfarms.com.
Geoff, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. I look forward to our next update.
Thanks, Robert. Good luck with your conference.
Thank you.